Before we begin with this video, I want to emphasize that this video is not about my issues with the industry, but rather about my issues with the music part of K-pop. There are much bigger problems to be discussed that have to do with the way the field functions, as well as the people in it, and those far outweigh the problems I have with the actual genre. However, I think those are discussed heavily by people far more intelligent than me, and therefore I'd like to spend this video talking about what is most important to me about K-pop, the music. As a style of music, I love K-pop very unconditionally, and there's not a lot you could do to keep me away from it for any extended period of time. Please don't mistake this video as me saying I hate K-pop when it's entirely the opposite. I feel like I never discuss what I don't like about K-pop because I glaze the music so heavily. It's not all I listen to, but it's a large majority of my music taste, partially because of how many genres are crammed into it. However, there's a lot of things I wish K-pop artists and companies would do differently when it comes to anything from releases to promotions, all the way down to the albums themselves. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing is one of those things that will bother me to no end: the amount of songs that comes with each release, especially debut releases. When a company is introducing a fresh new group to the public, shouldn't they try their best to present every positive quality they have to offer? I understand that there's a marketing aspect to that, and keeping people waiting is a great way to build hype for a group. But we can also take a look at two fifth-generation girl groups that debuted this year, kiiikiii and Hearts to Hearts. With the debuts of these two groups, there were extremely differing reactions from critics and music-focused commentators of K-pop. With kiiikiii, there was a sort of fascination, not just with their musical style, but with the amount of music contained in their debut project. For reference, it was only 6 songs, which, in the grand scheme of things, is really the standard for a K-pop release. Compare this to the response towards Hearts to Hearts, which was largely just nothing. As an enthusiast for their debut, and someone whose most streamed 2025 release right now is, in fact, The Chase, I'm really disappointed that they only debuted with 2 songs. This is a trend that SM Entertainment really loves. I can't name the last time an SM group debuted with more than a single. Why is a debut EP not the standard, when some groups are even debuting with high-quality albums, like artms and S? Even worse in this situation, there's groups like meovv, whose company seems to absolutely hate them. meovv debuted in September of 2024, released singles every few months, and only now in May of 2025 are they releasing an EP. This had me so shocked at first. I felt like their singles had been so close together in release, and now they were even giving us a full 6-song EP. This excitement lasted until I saw the track list. 4 songs they had previously released, and only 2 new songs. This is actually what gave me the final push to talk about this issue in this video. It frustrates me to no end when something like this happens. A fandom finally feels like they're being spoiled with releases after hearing singles for months. And then it's just a compilation. YG is truly wasting the talents of meovv because of this. No one is really tuning into their comebacks because they have no substance. And that really sucks because these girls are so talented and have so much potential that their company is just wasting. My second issue with K-pop is the lack of artistic identity that groups tend to have. While trend hopping can be fun to see, especially when it comes to genres, I wish more groups had a real identity of what their music sounds like. For instance, groups like billlie and lovelyz are 2 prime examples of what I love to see in a K-pop group's discography. billlie has their regular sound of jazzy chords and synth influences in their music, while lovelyz is known for their Christian horse girl style that remains constant throughout their discography. I think what would be perfect is if groups could fit into one of 2 categories, what I'll call the S standard and the onlyoneof standard, utilizing these groups because they are, of course, 2 of my favorites. onlyoneof are known for their very concrete and defined sound that very rarely, if ever, hops onto trends. For this reason, they are not super well known, but are agreed amongst devout K-pop stans to have one of the best discographies in the industry. S is also agreed to have a fantastic discography, but they tend to hop onto trends while still keeping their sonic identity throughout each song. For example, they have songs like Moto Princess where they hop on the Jersey club genre trend, but it still sticks with what their sound is like at its core. It can be really fun to see how different groups play around with different styles, but they need to have an established identity first before any of that can happen, or else everything will just sound the same. The next issue I want to talk about is the total lack of artistic involvement that most groups have in what they're doing. This kind of goes hand in hand with the previous bullet point about there barely being any musical identity between groups, which I feel could be changed by the members of each group having an actual involvement in the process of creating and putting together each album. I'm not saying they have to be the sole writers of each song, that would be impossible and doesn't even work in Western music. But at least in Western music, there's an incentive for artists to make their work really theirs and collaborate with the producers that work with them. I feel like I could go on a huge tangent about the shift from idol to artist, and I may make a video about that soon, so I'm going to stop talking and save my rants for then. The fourth and final problem with K-pop is one of the worst ones out there for me, and a combination of two complaints that relate to the same problem. These complaints are with forcing rap and forcing random English into songs just because the company thinks it will make the song do well. Both of these issues are seemingly present in more songs as time goes on, even with English versions being released of nearly every title track, when none of them need it, and it's lazily done anyway. English is the first thing I want to discuss in this section. It's so frustrating when it's obvious that a label has just lazily inserted an English phrase, so it either blows up on TikTok or gets people talking about the comeback. It can really ruin a song, especially when it doesn't match up with the rest of the lyricism in the song. To be clear, not all English in K-pop is terrible. There are actually quite a few examples where the English lyrics sound beautiful and enhance the song very much. My specific issue is when it's just thrown in there for little to no reason. This also happens very often with raps in K-pop songs, especially when the rapper or rappers of the group aren't really good at what they're supposed to be doing. It's even sadder when the rapper very clearly doesn't like rapping and would much rather be a vocalist in their group. I will say, however, there are a small handful of rappers in the K-pop field that absolutely excel at what they're doing and clearly love to do it. I admire those idols so much, but I feel bad for their counterparts who are held to the same standard. Altogether, there are a lot of things I would definitely change about the K-pop industry, and this video doesn't even cover all of them. I'd love to hear in the comments what you think could be improved in the future of K-pop, and your opinions on each of my big issues with the field. Thank you for watching, and have a fantastic day.